So, let us start with one example first, see how the quantifiers are interpreted. Let us take say for each x p x f of x. Suppose this is the formula, we have only one quantifier here and it is looks very simple, right, p x f of x. So, f is one function symbol, p is one predicate symbol, it is a binary predicate. Okay. So, we start with one interpretation, say let us take natural numbers again, and in this we have to tell how this p is interpreted, how f is interpreted. Okay. So, sometimes instead of writing phi here and then writing phi of p is this and phi of f is this, right, we just write say p prime and f prime implicitly, telling that these are the predicates to be interpreted, that p to be interpreted as this p prime and that f is to be interpreted as this f prime. Okay. We have to tell what this p prime and f prime are. So, let us say f prime means f prime of n, f prime is a unary function symbol, okay, only one argument it has. So, f prime which corresponds to this function symbol should be a unary function, unary partial function, let us say. So, we will write this as on n to n, it should be defined on the domain, fine. So, now defined by say f prime of n equal to, usually we do not write f prime of n in the beginning, right, when we give this value at n we write this. So, let us take it this way, where f prime of n is say n plus 4. Okay, somehow we have to define it, let us say it is n plus 4. And now what is this p prime? P prime has to be a binary relation on the natural numbers, right. So, it is a subset of n cross n. Which subset we have to tell it now, fine. So, which one we will take? Let us take say p prime is less than or equal to. Okay. So, we say m n belongs to p prime if and only if m is less than or equal to n, fine. So, this defines a function phi of f which is n plus 4 and phi of p which is less than or equal to. Okay. Formally we have to write so much, but this is what it says. Now, then we will see how this one is interpreted. Okay. So, as it is, if you see informally, it says that for every natural number n, n is less than or equal to n plus 4, that is what it says. Okay. But then let us look at how the formal semantics takes care of this, because we have to go to the states and then from the states we have to come to interpret this quantifier. Okay. So, let us start with one state. State will be starting with a valuation. There is only one variable occurring here, but you can define for other variables, that does not matter, they will not come into discussion at all. So, let us say L is one valuation which is under this interpretation. Okay. So, under this interpretation means of this formula, that formula is also there. So, there is no constant symbols occurring, only one variable is there. We can just give L of x equal to some number, natural number, and continue, fine. So, let us say L of x equal to 2, we are just fixing arbitrarily, see what happens. Now, we have the states I L. So, I L will satisfy for each x p x f of x if what happens, you have to go for the definition, if for each element in the domain we go for the obtained valuations, right, where L will be changing, in this L x will be fixed to something, some n. So, let us say for each n in natural numbers I L of x fixed to n, okay. This should satisfy the formula without the quantifiers p x f of x. Is it okay? Now, let us go on writing it for each n in n. What about this? When does it satisfy p x f x, that we have to see. So, by definition it will satisfy when the corresponding pair belongs to the corresponding predicate, right. So, now x, instead of x we have to take L x fixed to n, is that okay? So, once you take L of x fixed to n of x, that is n, is that okay? But we have taken x to any n. So, the same n will come, is that clear? So, we will be writing n and then L x fixed to n f of x. F is interpreted by I directly, phi of f, right. So, now this will be phi of f of L x fixed to n of x, is that right? So, that is f prime of L of x, L x fixed to n of x, right. So, that is again n belongs to p prime. So, we have omitted 3 steps there. If you go on slowly writing, you have to write L of x fixed to n and so on. So, this says if and only if for each n in n, n is less than or equal to f prime of n, which is n plus 4, right, which is true in n. So, we conclude that I L satisfies for each x p x f of x. Is that clear? So, now you see how the quantifiers are interpreted, so that they are overriding the valuation itself. You have never used L of x equal to 2 anywhere, okay? Because ultimately we will be getting to L of x fixed to n, and x is being fixed to n, the old L of x equal to 2 is of no use. Is it clear? But let us see another example where it is not a sentence. See what happens. Suppose I say for each x p x f of y. So, here y is a free variable, it has not been quantified, right. With the same interpretation, let us try and fix L the same way also, fine. Now, we will say I L satisfies for each x p x f of y, but we need to interpret y here, right, because L of y we do not know what it is, you have to fix that, then only it will come. So, let us fix, say L of y equal to some 100. Suppose this is our L, which maps x to 2 and y to 100, fine. Now, then this will be so if and only if for each natural number n I L x fixed to n satisfies p x f of y, okay. If and only if for each n in n. Now, I L means p is less than or equal to anyway. So, x will be taken as n in this new valuation L x fixed to n. So, that is n, then that is your p, and what is f of y? F is again f prime, which will be something plus 4, okay. Now, what is y? L x to n of y, that will be used, right, not L, L x fixed to n of y, but since L and L x fixed to n agree on y, that will be same as L of y, they can only vary on x, because x being fixed, all the others are the same as earlier. So, L x fixed to n of y is equal to L of y, right, and L of y is equal to what? 100, fine. So, it will be 100 plus this f is working 4, Is it clear, or I take some more steps? We will write 1 or 2 more lines. So, if you go for that, it will look like if L x fixed to n of x comma L x fixed to n of f of y, right. This belongs to p prime, right. Then this is so if for each n in n. Now, L x to n of x is n, p is less than or equal to, then we have to evaluate this, right. L x fixed to n of f of y. So, that is again f prime of L x fixed to n of y, right. So, that gives for each n in n, n is less than or equal to, now f prime means just whatever its argument plus 4. Now, this L x fixed to n of y is L of y, which is equal to 100, that is why this is 100 plus 4. Okay. So, this does not hold. Not true in n. That is why I L does not satisfy for each x p x f of y, fine. So, it does not satisfy, but then you see how this L has been used for y. Earlier it was not being used at all, now it has to be used because it is occurring free. So, once it is free, it will give some particular element in the domain. Is that clear? So, this really leads to something. Can you tell why? Well, what you are telling is each time when you choose different value for y, so your L changes. For different valuations, the corresponding state may or may not satisfy, but it has to be seen. So, the interpretation itself does not interpret directly this open formula, it is a state which interprets, right. But in the other case, when it is a closed formula sentence, whatever L you would have chosen does not matter, the interpretation directly interprets the sentence, right. Even if it is defined through the valuations, finally it does not matter, the quantifiers really override these valuations, right. So, then it tells something about difference between closed formulas and open formulas. You really need states for open formulas, you may not need states for the closed formulas or sentences, right. And the clue is the set of free variables occurring in it, fine. So, suppose you imagine there is a formula where you have some free variables and these valuations L or L prime, let us take two valuations which agree on all the free variables, then what will happen finally? If I L satisfies, will I L prime satisfy, and so on, right. This is what these two examples hint at, they should be, it looks they should be, right, and that is exactly your relevance lemma, which says that whatever relevant to that sentence you need to concern about that, other things you can forget. Okay. So, let us formulate it. Let A be a formula and let us write V subscript A as the set of all free variables of A. okay, and let us take I to be an interpretation. We may write this I as the ordered pair with domain and the map, say I is d phi an interpretation, and let us take two valuations L, L prime valuations under this interpretation I. So, what we say that if these two valuations agree on V of A, right, all the free variables, then they should evaluate the same way, that is what it says. Okay. Suppose L of x equal to L prime of x for each x in V A, then the ensuing states I L and I L prime should evaluate the formula A the same way, right. So, I L satisfies A if and only I L prime satisfies A. This is what we conjecture. Okay. So, how do we prove this? Well, it seems there is nothing else but induction, because our semantics itself is defined inductively, starting from the base cases where there is no connectives, no quantifiers, and then slowly introducing connectives and quantifiers. Okay. So, let us have the proof on by induction on the number of connectives and quantifiers in A taken together, right. So, suppose that is nu A. So, we use induction on nu A. So, this is the number of connectives and quantifiers in A. So, it is really number of occurrences of, it is not number of, there may be only one connective occurring 100 times. So, in that case 100 will be contribution to nu A, not 1. So, you should write number of occurrences. Okay. So, what is the basis case? No connectives, no quantifiers. Then how does it look like? A look like? Yes, there is no connective, no quantifier. Beginning, or it can be bottom, right, or it can be of the form S equal to T, right, but before that it may be some proposition without anything, zero array, P is zero array, right, or it can be P of T1 to Tn, right. These are the basis cases. Is that okay? That is how we have given the syntax of the language. So, it can be top, it can be bottom, it can be some zero array predicate proposition itself, or it can be binary with equality, or can be any n array predicates, right. There might be function symbols inside this T1 to Tn, they are terms, okay, but no connectives, no quantifiers, that is important. That is our nu A. So, nu A is 0, that is our basis case. So, now in all these cases just try to see what is the conclusion. I L and I L prime should evaluate the same way. Is it happening? This case is easy. I L of top is always same, whatever L, whatever I may be, right. So, that is satisfied. This is also okay. What about these propositions? There is no variable at all, no variable at all. So, L or L prime does not matter, they evaluate the same way. Is it okay? Now, what about S equal to T? Variables can occur, right, but also constants can occur, but constants will not give any problem, because L of any constant equal to L prime of the constant. Constants are interpreted directly by I, right. L of those things come from the definition of phi itself. So, L of any constant C equal to L prime of any constant C equal to phi of C, right. They directly give it to the elements of the domain. So, constants give no problem, variables can, right. Okay. So, if S equal to T and the variables are interpreted the same way, so L and L prime interpret the same way, is it okay? There again it is an inductive step on the number of variables occurring in S and T, right. So, that is again another inductive step if you do it formally, but that is clear. So, if there are variables in X, say one variable X is occurring, then what happens? L of S, during the evaluation of L of S, which element is it? You have to go for L of X, then all those instant set of L of X you can substitute by L prime of X, because they are same, right. So, finally it will come to the same element, and finally S equal to T is interpreted as the equality itself, the same as relation, fine. So, it will come to this way, I L satisfies S equal to T if and only if L of S equal to L of T, okay, because this identity or equality symbol is interpreted as equal to in the concrete domain, whatever your domain D is. Then this will give L prime of S equal to L prime of T, since on the variables they are interpreting the same way, whatever be the variables, whether it is originally quantified or not quantified in A, we are not bothered, right. There is no quantification here, of course. Then this happens if and only if I L prime satisfies S equal to T. So, this case is clear. What about P T1 to Tn? It is similar to this. Instead of equality, we will have P here, right. Okay, let us do it. Just you have to write some more lines. So, we will start with I L satisfies P of T1 to Tn if L of T1 to L of Tn belongs to phi of P, right, if they are so related as the corresponding relation to P, right. And then next two lines similar things, L of each term equal to L prime of each term. So, you just go to L prime of T1, L prime of Tn belongs to phi of P, and that is exactly what we wanted. I L prime satisfies P of T1 to Tn. Is that clear? So, basic step is clear. Now, for the induction step, suppose number of occurrence of connectives is k or up to k, the statement holds, then for k plus 1, whether it holds or not. So, now if it is having number of occurrence of connectives and quantifiers taken together k plus 1, how will it look like? Now, again structure, because that is how we are defined our formulas. So, then that structure will have not in it, not is one connective possibly, or any binary connective, right, or it will have for each x for some variable x and then a formula, or there is x and another formula, right. So, we will essentially get 4 cases. So, now in the induction step we may have A equal to not B, or A will be say B and some binary connective C, okay. So, this star may be in AND or conditional or biconditional, one of these, of course with parenthesis. or it can be in the form there is x b, where b is another formula, x is a variable, okay, or it may be in the form a equal to for each x b, one of these 4 possible. Then in each case let us see. Now, if a is having k plus 1 as nu of a is k plus 1, then nu of b is k, one connective less, and if a is b star c, then b c will have nu less than or equal to k. That is why you need strong induction, right. You assume for all less than or equal to k, and in this case connectives may be same, but one quantifier is less. So, in b again nu of b will be less than or equal to k, right, equal to k here. Similarly, for each x b we will have again equal to k, right. So, you can use induction hypothesis on these and then go for the induction step, that is what we will be doing. Okay. So, let us take not b case. If a equal to not b, then you start just like this and use the definition of satisfaction. So, say case A, we will say I L satisfies not b if and only if I L does not satisfy b by definition, right. Now, use induction hypothesis, b has only nu less than or equal to k. So, our conclusion holds I L prime does not satisfy b, then if and only if I L prime satisfies not b, it is too mechanical. Similarly, case b, just the connective propositional rules. Now, let us see the quantification. Suppose A is there exists x b, now we say I L satisfies there exists x b. This happens if and only if, what is the definition, for some element in the domain, right. So, for some d in D, I L x to d, x fixed to d satisfies b. Is that okay? That is what it is. Now, how to use induction hypothesis on this? That is our point. Okay. So, now what happens? L x to d, right. This new variable x is occurring in b probably, right, we do not know exactly, and it might be occurring free there, but in A it was not free, it was there exists x b, it is in the scope of that quantifier there exists x, so it was not free, right. So, we observe that the free variables of b can be an additional free variables of A union x, and we have L and L prime agree on the formula, then you can use it, right. Is it clear? Our induction hypothesis is on this statement, where we have L and L prime agree on V A, right. So, that means V A only L and L prime will agree. What about this x? We need that now to apply the induction hypothesis. See the problem, it is not straightforward here. So, for x also you have to see what is happening, right. Now, let us see L x fixed to d of any variable in A, we are not worried, only for x we are verifying. If you take any variable y, that of course comes as it is, then of x is equal to d. Okay. Now, what about L prime x to d? That is also d. Okay. Though L and L prime may not agree, we do not know what they are, but L x fixed to d, L prime x fixed to d, they agree, fine. So, now we are not going to see whether L and L prime agree, but whether these two are agreeing or not, even on the other variables, because there we are applying the induction hypothesis, right. So, you have to verify of these valuations on any y, but that is not difficult, because L x fixed to d of any variable y is equal to L of y, and L prime x fixed to d of y is also equal to L prime of y, and Lx, Ly and L prime y agree, right. So, these two also agree, fine. Therefore, these two valuations agree on all the free variables of B. So, we can apply induction hypothesis on L and L prime when x fixed to d, not directly on L prime. Is it clear? Yeah, we will write it again. So, now we verify L x fixed to d of y, where x is not equal to y, or let us say y is not equal to x. Okay. So, this y equal to L of y by definition, because x is only fixed to d, all others are as they were. So, this is L of y, and L of y equal to L prime of y. Why? Because if y is not equal to x and y belongs to free variables of B, then y belongs to free variables of A, right. V of B is a subset of V of A union x. So, here we give a comment, because y belongs to V A due to this. Then this is equal to L prime of x fixed to d of y, only x is fixed to d, others are same, right. So, that means L x fixed to d and L prime x fixed to d, these two valuations agree on V B, right, on V B, because in V B you can have free variables from A or x, x we have verified, and free variables of A are here which are not x. Is that okay? So, these two valuations agree. Then use induction hypothesis here. Hypothesis to conclude I L x fixed to d satisfies B if and only if I L prime of x fixed to d satisfies B. Okay. Nu of B is less than or equal to k, that is why you are able to use it, all those three are required. So, now once that is done, we come back to this statement, right. This says for some d in D, I L prime of x fixed to d satisfies B, right. Therefore, I L prime satisfies there exists x B, proof ends there. So, let us take one nice corollary of this. Suppose A is a sentence, what do we conclude from relevance lemma? No free variables. So, we will be starting with a sentence, let A be a sentence. So, in that case free variable of A is empty, right, V A is empty, there is no free variable. Then any two valuations you take L and L prime, they will agree on V A, because there is no case of difference, right. So, once they agree, your conclusion will hold. So, conclusion is I L satisfies A if and only if I L prime satisfies A for any valuation L, right. So, now let us write it, let I be an interpretation and let L be a valuation under I. Then I L satisfies A if and only if If you take any other valuation L prime, then I L prime also will satisfy A, right. So, there we will write I itself satisfies A. Okay. We will give the definition now. So, definition says I satisfies A if and only if I L satisfies A for every valuation or every state I L under A. So, we have only defined satisfaction from the states point of view, how a state satisfies a formula. Now, we are defining how an interpretation satisfies a formula. So, an interpretation satisfies a formula if and only if all states under the interpretation satisfy it. Okay. So, this now says any two states you take, they either satisfy or does not satisfy, do not satisfy together. So, if one of the states satisfies, then everyone satisfies. Conversely, if everyone satisfies, then that one also satisfies, right. So, this is what it says. That means, you do not have to go to the states to interpret the formulas which are closed, right. A sentence can be interpreted exactly by an interpretation, no states are required. This is what our intuition was, and we are there now. Okay. So, even if you say there is a sentence and there is a state model of it, it is equivalent to telling there is a sentence, it has a model. Clear? There is a nice corollary of this again. You can see that if you take any interpretation of a sentence, either the interpretation satisfies it or interpretation satisfies its negation. It should be clear from this now. Okay? So, as a corollary, we will have this. Let A be a sentence and I be an interpretation. Okay. Then either I satisfies A or I satisfies not A. For a formula it need not happen, right. Well, we will come to that. Now, see how to prove this. It is because you take any state L, I L, okay, take a valuation under this interpretation. Now, I L either satisfies A or it satisfies not A by definition for the states, right. Okay. So, now, due to relevance lemma for the sentences, I L satisfies A if and only if I satisfies A. So, just substitute both the places. That proves it. Okay. But it says something more. Proof is easy, there is nothing. It says that if you take any interpretation, it either satisfies the sentence or it makes the sentence false. One of them will happen. But if an arbitrary formula is there, not a sentence, it may do neither, right. Okay. So, that means what we are telling is, if X is an open formula, then it may happen that neither I satisfies X nor I satisfies not X. That can happen. Okay. Example. To show this, we need an example. So, definitely we are going for an open formula. For a sentence, if you do not get the answer. So, now we have to consider one open formula where there is at least one free variable. It means that. So, there is a free variable, let us say P x, right. There can be more also. So, suppose x is the only free variable. Now, can you construct one interpretation where that interpretation neither satisfies P x nor satisfies not P x? Suppose P x. Well, first domain. So, let us take I equal to You are thinking in natural numbers. Okay. So, P only 0 will be excluded. If you take positive integers, only 0 is excluded. Let us try. So, say P is Z plus, right. That is our P, fine. Well, it does not show exactly. So, let us write say P prime, and P prime is Z plus. Set up all positive integers. Now, P x, how P x is interpreted? It is never interpreted, right. You need a state to interpret it. L of x should be specified. So, what is L of x? One case let us take 0, another let us say L prime of x is 1. Okay. Then I L satisfies P x if and only if, what does it say? L of x belongs to P prime if and only if 0 belongs to Z plus, which is not so, which is not true. So, we conclude I L does not satisfy P x. Then I also does not satisfy P x, because by definition I satisfies a formula if and only if every state under it satisfies it. There is one state which does not satisfy it. Next, what about I L prime? Let us verify. I L prime satisfies P x if what happens? L prime of x belongs to P prime, right. So, L prime of x is 1. So, 1 belongs to Z plus, it is so. This is not the example, right. Well, at least one more element we need which should not be there. So, we can construct P prime to be everything bigger than or equal to 2, right. Then take L prime x equal to 1. Is that okay? Or to see it better way, let us take Z plus as sorry, not here, P prime, this is sufficient. See, our aim is to show that I does not satisfy P x. Now, how do we show? At least for one state under I, L should not satisfy A.
We got one state in this example.
That is for I L. So, I does not satisfy. It is again P x. We want for not P x. We want for not P x now. Okay. So, okay, let us try that way. We want to show I L does not satisfy not P x. This is what we want. Okay, this is what we want. Here we have shown that I L does not satisfy P x. Now we want to show I L does not satisfy not P x, right. But that will not happen. Let us take I L prime, because L prime x we have taken as 1. Okay. So, let us try I L prime does not satisfy not P x. Is it true? That is what we want to verify. So, this happens if I L prime satisfies P x. Not P x. So, I L prime satisfies P x. So, this happens if and only if L prime of x belongs to P prime, right. So, this gives if and only if L prime of x equal to 1. So, 1 belongs to Z plus, which is true, over. Okay. Which holds. So, that solves, right. So, this shows I L prime does not satisfy not P x, therefore, I does not satisfy not P x, right. So, both the things are done. I does not satisfy P x, and this from this we conclude I does not satisfy not P x. This is what we wanted. clear, neither of them is satisfied. So, this gives us another way of looking at the open formulas. See, for the closed formulas you do not need the states, interpreters are enough. In fact, if you read the closed formulas or sentences directly through I, then you get one fact statement in your domain, right. Now, you have to verify whether that is true or false according to the mechanism of the domain itself, right. This is the procedure, but then if it is open formula you cannot do that, you have to go for the states, that is why you have done it. But once this is done, for the sentences you have another alternative, then you can think of getting some sentence from the open formula and try to see what happens. See, suppose I have p x, here x is one free variable, this is open formula. Now, I may consider two sentences. Okay. This I can interpret in any domain I like, this also I can interpret as a sentence, but this is not a sentence, it cannot be interpreted as a sentence. So, I do not know the truth of it, but these two I can interpret, I know whether they are true or false in any domain given, fine. Now, from the truth of this, can I conclude something about the truth of p x? Well, up to some extent we can conclude. This is what we will discuss next time. Okay. Is it clear? So, what we have done today is only relevance lemma, and then we concluded that it is meaningful to define when an interpretation becomes a model of a sentence, but not of a closed formula, not of an open formula. Now, to consider open formulas, we have one suggestion here, that either you take for every x of all those things, or there is x of all those things, then try to see what happens, right. So, this we keep it open now, next time we will discuss.